In this video, I show you what filters to use to find the best dividend stocks. There is already a video available on our channel that addresses how to use ChartMill to search for quality dividend stocks. In the meantime, however, ChartMill has undergone a few updates that have not only made it a lot easier to find the various dividend filters, but in addition, some specific filters have been added. My name is Christoph. Welcome to ChartMill. All the fundamental filters that used to be grouped under a general fundamental folder have now been split into several categories, being health, profitability, growth, valuation, and so the dividend filter section has also been moved to a separate category. Click the Dividend tab to get an overview of the dividend filters available in ChartMill. There are the standard filters that you will find in almost every screener, such as the yield, the payout ratio, and the dividend growth. On top of those, ChartMill offers a number of additional filters, making our stock screener currently one of the most versatile dividend screeners available online. There is the dividend increase years. This filter allows you to set how many consecutive years the company has increased its dividend. Keep in mind that it is a very strict filter. For example, if you set this filter to 10, it means that in the past 10 years there has not been a single year that the dividend was lower or stayed at the same level as the previous year. And then the dividend non-decrease years. As explained, the previous filter is quite strict and filters out all stocks whose dividends are not explicitly increased year after year. However, if you also want to see the stocks whose dividends stays the same year after year, then you are better off using this filter. The number of stocks will be considerably higher with this filter because in this case also a constant dividend is accepted by the screener. In addition, you can compare the dividend yield to industry or sector peers using these last two tabs. And the first tab, the ChartMill Fundamental Rating, is a standard score assigned by ChartMill itself. You can read more about it in this article. In this way, the stock screener offers a total of 8 different dividend filters that, along with other ratios, provide a very powerful tool for identifying good dividend stocks. Now, using these filters, let's find some decent dividend stocks. We'll do that in two parts. First, we apply some basic filters, which will ensure that we only keep companies that are already fairly mature and where we are sure of sufficient liquidity. And then we apply the specific dividend filters. So the basic filters, first of all, price. I personally always use a minimum price of €5 or $5 to avoid penny stocks. The volume. Whether you choose a dividend investing strategy or another strategy, sufficient liquidity is always important. For the US market, I use an average minimum volume of 300,000. For Europe and Canada, this filter should be significantly reduced to 100,000. Otherwise, too few companies will remain that meet all the criteria. Market capitalization. For the US market, I use a market capitalization of at least 2 billion. After all, these are medium-sized companies that already have a certain track record and can be assumed to remain stable in the future. Moreover, the advantage of larger companies is the much greater predictability in their cash flows. If you want to look for European dividend stocks, it is best to set the limit a little lower in order to leave enough candidates. Those who wish can also already select in which region or for which exchange the screen is to be applied. And it is also possible to select specific sectors or industries. In this demo, I am not going to do this in order to get the widest possible selection. I like to start with rather broad filters and only afterwards, depending on the number of results, I will use additional filters or tighten the existing filters. The specific filters. I start with the dividend yield set at minimum of 3%. That's pretty low, but I prefer to start with a fairly broad filter selection, and I can always set it more strictly later if desired. It is always tempting to set a dividend yield as high as possible, but keep in mind that as a dividend investor, the primary objective is to achieve a solid and above all stable return. It makes little sense to buy a stock with a huge 10% dividend yield if there is a significant chance that such a yield will be unsustainable in the near future. In addition to the yield, growth is also important. I set dividend growth at a minimum of 5% and a maximum of 30%. Again, a prudent choice for the same reasons I cited with the dividend yield. And also the payout ratio deserves attention. You should be careful with payout ratios that are too high, as this can have a negative influence on the further growth of the company. By default, we set the filter to a maximum of 70%. Again, this value is used as a basis and can be adjusted to the sector average later if necessary. With the following filters, I set the number of consecutive years that the dividend was increased or at least stayed the same each following year. To make the difference clear, I will first set the dividend increase filter to 5 years. However, when I use instead the non-decreasing filter and set this also to 5 years, I have significantly more results. With the first filter, the dividend had to be increased every time for the last 5 years. The second filter is slightly less strict and also takes into account the candidates whose dividends have not been reduced in the last 5 years. Moreover, you can combine both filters, for example by specifying that the dividend may not have been reduced in the last 10 years with the additional condition that the dividend was increased consecutively over the last 3 years. As said, the possibilities are vast and allow a very targeted search. Other ratios that are also frequently used when looking for dividend stocks are return on equity and debt to equity. These can be found under the Profitability and the Health tab. Why both of these ratios are also important for dividend investors was already discussed in this video, and a direct link to it can be found in the description below. ChartMill has recently significantly expanded its view capabilities. Several predefined views were added, including this specific dividend view. It's a 3-column view with a chart on the left, in the middle some typical dividend ratios, supplemented by other ratios that may be of interest to dividend investors, such as the debt to equity ratio and some profit margins. On the far right are some fundamental charts that give you a good idea of dividend growth and the ratio of dividends to sales and free cash flow. But you can just as easily create a fully customized view by clicking the Create Custom View option. In the next screen, you can choose a table or a 3-column presentation, or you can further customize your previously created custom views. How to build such a custom view is shown in part 10 of our ChartMill Academy video series, whose link now appears in the upper right corner, and I'm also adding a link in the description below. So there you go, that's it as far as the new dividend filtering capabilities and how you can view and analyze the results. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like it, and if you are not yet a subscriber, please consider doing so. That way you won't miss any new video. Any comments, observations or requests, share them below in the comments section and we will answer them. Thanks for watching, see you next time.